If you're trying to make your remodel happen by curating an infinite list of beautiful Pinterest boards, it's not going to work. In fact, spending too much time on Pinterest may actually be slowing you down and creating more option overwhelm rather than moving you forward. Now look, Pinterest isn't the enemy. It's a great tool, but it needs to be done the right way and at the right stage in your planning process. At this point, I can pretty much guarantee you do not need another pin. So if you're spending more time on Pinterest after this, you might be wasting your time. Let's talk about how to use Pinterest the right way and how to supercharge your remodel so you can actually start making changes in your house rather than just planning and wishing and hoping. I want to show you the exact way to get started on your remodel plans in 2026, and I'm going to break it to you gently here. It will not begin on Pinterest. You're on Pinterest looking for inspiration. So let's talk about the big mistakes that most people make when they go seeking out inspiration that actually cause them to slow down and sometimes even give up on remodel plans. These mistakes can actually be particularly deadly to mid-century homeowners because if you go down the wrong rabbit hole, you can end up making choices that remove all of the mid-century character from your home, even as you're trying to improve it. Remodel inspiration mistake number 1 is looking for inspiration in trends and in what's current today rather than rooting it in your mid-century house. In this video, I was talking about how basing the cost of what you expect your remodel to be on averages is nonsensical because that's not actually about what you're going to do or what your house needs. And in a similar way, it's just as silly to plan your remodel look based on trends or what's going on in the rest of the world. Planning for a trendy remodel just means you're planning for a soon-to-be out-of-date remodel. You don't need to make trendy choices for your home, and you particularly don't need to make trendy choices for a mid-century home. We mid-century homeowners don't need that at all. Remodeling inspiration mistake number 2 is looking for the wrong kind of inspiration. This is so easy to do. When you're looking for ideas to remodel, you might pick up a magazine in the grocery store checkout, or as a mid-century homeowner, you might go to Atomic Ranch and just go through their website. What are the latest houses they've featured? Now, it's great to get inspired by really beautiful things, but the big risk for looking at magazine quality finished projects is that you may actually find it more intimidating than inspiring. It's hard to compare apples to apples when you're looking at a California sort of post and beam architectural wonder and you're living in a modest mid-century ranch house in the Midwest. If you look at that house too long and you don't know how to look at those inspiration images the right way, you can end up just feeling like the house you want is unavailable to you and you might as well just live with what you've got. That's not the right way to get inspired. I'm going to have advice later in this video on how to extract great ideas from any inspiring image, from anything you see that you like. You can figure out what are the qualities of it that you like and how to apply them to your house. But in general, beware of anything that you look at that makes you feel intimidated. Just stop that process and go find inspiration somewhere else. Remodeling inspiration mistake number 3 kind of ties in with that previous one, and that is hyperfixating on the specifics. And this can often happen when you're looking at a magazine spread, or people will often go to the website House, 2 Z's, to look for references. By the way, don't do that because most of those publications are also going to be linked to products. They're going to tell you right in the text of the article, you can buy this tile here, this is the designer that provided this service, this is where they got their cabinets from, and it will cause you to immediately A, go to one final solution, B, go to a solution that's too expensive, probably for your budget, and C, fixate too much on exactly what they did and try to copy paste it into your house, which has different circumstances, all of which are going to stop your inspiration process dead in the water. All the articles that are name-checking super expensive products and services are a distraction. More on that in a minute though, because the 4th remodel inspiration mistake is a doozy. And this one is jumping in and starting to make some choices for your project before you have locked in your overall vision. If you don't make your inspiration choices in the context of your larger master plan, for example, if you just figure out you're gonna do a small bathroom first, so you're gonna go in and you're gonna pick a tile and you're gonna pick a paint color and you're gonna pick a sink and you're gonna pick a cabinet and just go without thinking about all the choices you might make for your house or without thinking about what exists in the house already, you're almost guaranteed to make a trendy and out of period or a just out of character set of choices for yourself. Every choice you make in your remodel ought to be strategically linked to the greater goal of your whole home update, and that's true whether it's moving a wall or picking a tile. I encourage my clients and students to make as few changes as possible until they have their big master plan vision for the overall project. That means everything you want to do so that each move adds up to moving you in the direction of your final goal of project list, and also all of the materials. Not every particular project, but all of the style guide choices are set. So you know what kind of wood stain, what kind of metal choices, what kind of tile, what kind of cabinet face you're working with throughout the house. Not only will this give you a clean, cohesive, designed look when you're done, but it'll also make the process easier. It's a big win-win. I'm curious if you want to share if you've been making any of these mistakes up till now. No judgment, I promise, because we all do it. Have you been sucked in by any remodeling trends? Have you been looking in the wrong space for your inspiration? Have you been jumping the gun and trying to lock in specific products before you've set your overall style? Or have you gone ahead and actually done any projects without thinking about the bigger overall style of your whole house? Go ahead and share a mistake that you've made in the comments, because I think you're going to find that you are not alone. So many of the people that I start to work with have already made some of these mistakes, and it's okay. We just work from where we are and move forward, correcting as we go, or move on and leave it in the past, and then maybe circle back around to hit that first project we don't love so much again in the end. Comment and let me know with one of those mistakes you've been making, because it's also going to help me decide what future content I should make, and it's going to make you feel like you are not alone when you see what other people say. Look, there's a secret to slashing the number of choices that you have to make in your remodel, and it will be a lot, in half, maybe better than that, and it is to work with the style guide system as you go through your remodeling process. When you go in the right order, you can start from the general and work towards the specific, and it will make everything smoother and easier. So let's work through the logical steps of setting a style for your project, and so that you can make any individual choice you're going to make, the right tile, the right siding, the right trim, easily and in the context of great mid-century whole. Step 1 is to identify your remodeling style. Note, we are not on Pinterest right now. So your personal mid-century remodeling style exists on the axis between the timeline, early to late mid-century, on one side vertically, and then horizontally where you fall on the spectrum from preserving or putting back mid-century to updating it while still feeling like you're in the realm of it. So more time capsule or more mid-mod upgrade. These are questions that I ask every client and every student to start from. It's not hard, but if you don't do this, everything else you do will be harder. In fact, let me make this really easy for you. If you go to midmod-midwest.com/quiz, you can take my easy, I think it takes less than 3 minutes to do, style quiz. When I share your score, I'll also send you an email with some really handy starter advice for your personal style. Pro tip, take this quiz with your partner or have your partner also take this quiz to find out if their mid-century style is the same or different than yours. Again, the sooner you can identify any disagreements, the less they will grow in size over time. You can take your mid-century moment from the era your house was built, or you can tweak a mid-century house forward or back in time within the sort of general bubble. Both things are possible, but what you want to know is specifically where you're aiming so that all your choices go in that direction. Are you charmed by early 1950s twee, powder pink, baby blue? Or do you like a little bit more vibrant, swinging mid-century mod? Or does your heart lead towards the Frank Lloyd Wright, the sort of Usonian modernism? Any answer is right. The only wrong answer is not to know. Step 2 does involve Pinterest, but it means you need to use it effectively and stay out of the gravity well of just living inside of Pinterest. Pinterest can really serve you, and it's a wonderful visual search engine. It's also a place where ideas you find on Google or on Instagram or just photographs that you capture around the world can be uploaded and all stored in the same spot. Pinterest is a great place to keep all of your ideas, but it's just a way station on the process towards planning your ultimate remodel. So don't get stuck constantly curating your boards. Just keep your ideas in an easy to research, easy to find again spot, and then get ready to extract them and move forward into the next step as soon as possible. Step 3 is going to be to focus in on the materials and the components that make up all the pretty images you've been inspired by. This is how you can take a gorgeous California high-end architect design home and get a good idea for your house. You can think about zooming in, actually, or just basically philosophically focusing in. What is drawing you to that image? Now, first rule out the things like it's got pretty products in it, it has a cute dog. What we're looking for is the architectural ideas. So that might be the way space is arranged, that there is a low space and a high space next to each other. It might be a comfortable window seat that just seems like the sort of place you might want to hang out. Or it might be a combination of materials, 2 different wood grains next to each other that each warm and complement the other, or a particular metal that's repeated throughout the house, or a style of handle that you can look for sourcing from multiple places, vintage, Etsy, modern reproduction. One way or another, you're focusing in on the details, perhaps multiple details from a single image, or details that are appearing again and again across the pins that you've been putting together. What ideas are repeating? Pull those out and put those onto another platform. From those ideas, you're going to create material style sheets. So for each room in your house, It's easier to focus room by room, even though all the rooms will feel related to each other. Ultimately, you're going to put together a material sheet that's going to have the floor material, the built-in cabinet wood grain and stain and door style, the hardware, the light fixtures, maybe tile, maybe paint colors, soft furnishings. Each of these being one little zoomed in square that shows almost nothing about shape or scale, just the material. Putting those together and making sure they all complement each other is step one towards making your design decisions. By the way, for rooms that still have mid-century charm in them, you're going to build those out from existing features. Start with photographs of your actual hardwood floor if you've got it, any existing built-ins you want to preserve, any cool original light fixtures that are going to stay or be uninstalled and reinstalled in a remodel, and then add new features to them, making sure they all complement each other. This won't happen on Pinterest. Now, when I make style sheets and style guides for my clients, I do that in InDesign because I've been using the Adobe Creative Suite since grad school and it feels like second nature to me. When I teach this process to my students, I recommend they use Canva. And actually, when we make style guides, style sheets to share with our clients that they can edit after the fact, we export them into Canva as well. I set my Ready to Remodel students up with easy Canva templates so that they can pop in their own examples and also so they have some example style sheets to work off of. And this is a really easy place to get started. But if you have a design layout program that you regularly use on a daily basis, you can go to that. I've had a lot of people make their style guides and style sheets in PowerPoint. Even if it feels most natural to you, you can jam it into a Word document or Excel. The point is that it needs to be usable and accessible to you. So if learning a new program or app is a barrier to entry, skip it. Use something you already know how to use to arrange those close-up material images together, one sheet per room. You're also probably going to want to extract some style guide collections, and these are more about design moves than they are about specific materials or products. So for example, if you're thinking you want to have a built-in bench in your kitchen, it's unlikely you're going to find a photo of the exact kind of built-in bench that's perfect for you. That's an easily accessible product you could get. You're looking instead to put together a couple of inspiration images that you can easily use to communicate with a contractor or a supplier to find the actual product or create design you're going to use. So what you want is to take maybe 2 to 4 images that all have some of the general ideas and then add in a bullet point or two or 2 sentences on the same sheet to say, here's the concept of kitchen built-in that we want for the built-in bench. When you've assembled a style guide of a few of those sheets and then your material palettes as well, you have a really strong communication device for everyone you're going to work with and an easy way for you to keep track of your decisions going forwards and in the past. By the way, if the idea of having a Canva template for all of this feels really helpful to you, then you might actually be interested in my mini course on setting up a style guide more than a mood board, walking through each of the steps I'm talking about in a lot more detail than a YouTube video can cover. And I've got example Pinterest boards and example places, some of my favorite mid-century Instagram accounts to follow, a bunch of more advice and templates and guides all along the steps. And it'll walk you through the process of setting up a style guide going from idea I liked on Pinterest all the way down to spreadsheets that you can use to track your entire project. Check it out at this link right here. It's going to walk you through all the way to step 4, which is to take it from those graphic representations of the combination of materials that make up a room to the specific products and finishes that you're going to choose. And you're not going to go straight from a picture to a product. Pro tip, before you're going to buy a new door handle for every door in the house, make sure you get one and check it against the other metals that already exist in the house to make sure it does not clash. You will go through a phase of a lot of samples. Multiple tile samples, multiple hardware samples, maybe one light fixture to check that the light fixture you're going to repeat through the house. By the way, rinse and repeat is a totally great way to plan a cohesive design, all work together and have the same underlying details that complement each other. Once you've got those all locked in, they'll end up in a spreadsheet with the sources, the price, the cost per square foot, the number you're going to need, and when they can arrive by, all organized and ready to go. But don't get ahead of yourself. You don't want to begin the process with the end. You're not starting from the specific tile that you can't live without. Although, okay, I know tile is a tricky one. If you have a dream tile that's got to be your kitchen backsplash, that's allowed. You can build the rest of your style guide around it. Treat it like the existing wood floor in your house you're trying to match. But don't get locked in on too many specific products too early in the game. We want to go from the general to the specific to do our style guide process correctly. If you start from ordering a bunch of sample kits instead of naming your mid-century style, you're going to get overwhelmed and you might very well just stop. I spend a lot of time talking to mid-century homeowners about setting their style and creating style guides because they are the very best way to keep yourself on track and organized and cut down the chaos of too many decisions. I mean, the entire internet exists, and how on earth you possibly choose from all of that You can't. But when you know you're working only with this kind of metal and this kind of wood grain and this kind of tile, you can focus down. You can use search terms to limit your options within any particular price point. It's also incredibly helpful to help you visually check your mid-century aesthetic before you get into purchasing or before you let a contractor go to town on your space. This process is so important because the #1 killer of mid-century style is saying yes to accidentally or getting bullied into a bunch of trendy HGTV style choices that erase the mid-century character from your home. If you're worried about losing mid-century style in a remodel, you're not wrong to be. It is a risk, but it's avoidable. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk you through in my next video. Don't miss it.